Please feel free to adjust the playback speed to 1.25 or 1.5 depending on your preference.
They can't believe that he beat a creature like that in one attack. Jin-Woo is glad that he gets to acquire experience points by beating high-ranking monsters. We cut back to Dong-soo, who chooses to be a hard-ass and refuses to elaborate on why he's here for Jin-Woo. Yun-ho reminds him that there's nothing certain when it comes to a red gate. There could be endless possibilities of a dangerous environment inside. It's easier to assume that they're all going to die inside. However, Dong-soo is stubborn and wants to see for himself. At the same time, he really isn't the type to just wait around patiently for the dungeon to break free again. Jin-Woo, on the other hand, thinks that Sung Jin-Woo's luck is becoming his saving grace right now because the red gate is out of reach even for S-rankers. All that's left is for them to survive the harshness of the dungeon. Well, the exact opposite is happening, as Jin-Woo's team is feasting on a delicious dinner. Song wants to know about Jin-Ah's routine at home and wonders if she's a superhuman studying all day. Jin-Woo lightly expresses that she's no different from any other student. She's just a sleepyhead who happens to fancy fried chicken. It doesn't add up to Song how her grades are so good with a routine like that. It's something not even Jin-Woo can comprehend, as even back in middle school, they would just spend time playing arcade games. As for the ice bears, they're getting less noticeable with Jin-Woo utterly destroying them one after another. He gets up to leave for a workout after just eating. It's really surprising to them that he's choosing to work out in this kind of dungeon. But Jin-Woo really doesn't have a choice, as he'll be struck with a penalty. As he's working out, he thinks it would be silly to leave his team behind while he wastes time in the penalty zone. With his workout finished, he thinks it's time to continue his hunt. There's a cave nearby teeming with these ice bears. Jin-Woo is here to clean them all up. It's here that he chooses to command the use of his army for the first time in action. A giant shadow just behind him releases numerous soldiers ready to fight. The hunter commands them to hunt. The ice bears roar and begin their attack. They even decimate some of the shadow soldiers in their way. One swoop of their paw is enough to defeat the knights. As for the mages, their concentrated magic allows them to use powerful fire spells. The knights have excellent regeneration, too. They're way more useful than Jin-Woo originally thought. Top it off, they're immortal as long as they consume his mana. Among the ice bears, a viciously large one appears. Jin-Woo recognizes this guy as the leader of the pack. This one is so powerful that it annihilates Jin-Woo's shadows completely. Also, since his mana has gone down to 0, his soldiers can no longer regenerate. So, for this occasion, Jin-Woo brings out his trophy piece, the commander knight, Igris. Igris readies his long sword and makes a forward advance. He leaps away with so much speed that the bear loses its entire arm in an instant. Igris uses the tree as a platform to commence his second strike. He blitzes past the bear and plunges his sword into its other arm, slashing it in a painful motion. Now the bear has nothing to attack with, so Igris quickly slashes its feet, locking down its mobility. His impressive sword-fighting abilities come as a shock to Jin-Woo. This knight has made a bloodbath of its opponent until eventually Igris deals the decisive killing blow, severing the creature's head clean. He catches the head of the beast to return it to his master. This fight demonstration makes our boy realize one thing and one thing only. It's the fact that if Igris had whipped out his sword in their battle back then, Jin-Woo would be finished, in sushi pieces. Thankfully, he's leveled up a bit, so their skill is roughly equal now. The knight drops the creature's head before kneeling before its master. Jin-Woo immediately retracts his statement and thinks that the knight is still more powerful than even he is. He commends him for making good progress and uses the corpse of the creature as an opportunity for shadow extraction. The shadowy bear rises from its body. Jin-Woo proceeds to do the same for the rest of the ice bears. He now has a Goliath added to his collection, which he's proud of. Revisiting the scene outside the dungeon, Yun-ho learns that 3 full hours have passed since the dungeon raid. That means 3 days have passed inside, and there's no telling if some of them died. Yun-ho fears the absolute worst for the party inside, and especially for the weaklings who went in. He's worried if they'll even manage to scout for food since the difficulty level of the gate is high, which directly relates to the average difficulty of the monsters. Yun-ho's intuition tells him that the C-rankers are dead at least. Hearing that, Dong-soo finds himself convinced that Jin-Woo has no way of surviving this one. He thinks it was pointless to have come here at all. Reminded by the fact that Jin-Woo isn't a member of the White Tiger Guild, Dong-soo questions why he was even allowed to enter the gate in the first place. For that, Sang-min intervenes, excusing that he's an old friend of his who wanted to participate in the C-rank dungeon for profit. Yun-ho immediately realizes that he's trying to cover for Jin-Woo, which means his identity and information is a big deal for some reason. There's also the fact that an S-ranker like Dong-soo came all the way here of all places to track him down. At first, Dong-soo acts like he's done with business, but he suddenly appears in front of Sang-min and grabs him by the neck. He's already suspected that something is wrong with this story. The S-ranker wants to hear the truth, but enough is enough as Yunho can't tolerate one of his own men being attacked by an outsider. Dong-soo is in the mood to mess around, so he talks down to Yunho for acting like a big shot. In response, Yunho activates his aura, this time provoked for good. Sang-min assesses the dire situation as this is quickly becoming a confrontation between two S-rank hunters. Cutting off from the spicy part, we revisit the dungeon. Things are not looking good, and I mean it, for Kim Chul's side. His equipment has been annihilated and he's barely standing on his feet. The higher orcs are tearing apart the rest of the hunters as Kim Chul has been outwitted and defeated. His progress to become an elite member of the White Tiger Guild will be swept clean with his death. It just doesn't add up to his pride, how he, of all people, was bested. The reason he lost is because of the shortage of food. At first, he thinks it wasn't his fault, but then he realizes he's the squad leader, so it really is his fault. While he's doubting himself and weak, the Ice Slayers happily decide to welcome him with open arms. They were having big trouble with the Yetis, but now they're done for good. One of the injured hunters reaches out for his leader, only to get ripped to pieces. The mere sight of ice elves inspires fear in his eyes as he screams away to escape. Their leader is mounted on a horse, and from the looks of things, Kim Chul is not going to make it. A panting Kim Chul barely escapes into the forest, this time blaming the cold for what happened, and then his hunger for being the cause that weakened him. When his eyes glance towards the defeated bodies of ice bears, he's utterly shocked. He can't believe how the other team managed to kill all of them. They shouldn't even be capable of pulling this off. So, he thinks it must be the elves who did this. That's why he ramps up his running speed to get out of sight. Let's return to the spicy showdown happening right outside. A serious Yunho arms himself in his beast form, and not even Dong-soo has any intentions of backing down. The scene is getting intense as Yunho readies his claw while Dong-soo prepares his fist. Both unleash their fury with a powerful punch against the other. A single punch causes so much shockwave that it repels the managers away. When the smoke settles, we see Dong-soo rather impressed. It's because one man decided to stop both their attacks. That man is the A-rank hunter Jin Chul, who caught the fists of two S-rank hunters. However, the only reason he managed to stop them at all is because they held back, seeing him pounce at the last second. The agent claims that he's the first of them to suspect Jin-Woo's reawakening. It was only 2 months ago when he used the best mana meter available to them to measure his powers, but nothing changed. His strength remained the same. However, Sang-min is living proof that the meter's results were inaccurate. Jin Chul reasons that it's simply impossible for a hunter like Jin-Woo to beat up an entire squad of Dong-soo's men. Of course, the twisted S-ranker knows this, and it's likely that Jin-ho was the one responsible for killing them. Jin Chul can't comprehend why Dong-soo decided to go to such lengths to pursue Jin-Woo if that was indeed the case. Then we catch a glimpse of this murderous bastard's true personality. He's not after revenge or anything. He just wants to find an excuse to end a life. Dong-soo is annoyed and decides to catch some sleep for the meantime. He hollers at the dumb managers who have never seen S-rankers go at it before. Among the group, only Sang-min knows the real strength of our boy, and he's willing to put everything on the line to believe that Sung Jin-Woo will make it out alive. We get to a scene of the party where Jin and the other C-rankers are having a fun time. Kim Chul has finally made his way to this group, but he's utterly stumped by what he sees. They all survive despite being low rankers, which should be impossible to say the least. They're having the time of their lives against the cold, having all kinds of equipment. They even have food to spare. Kim Chul once again wallows in his endless excuses about how his frozen hands are the only reason he lost. He thinks they're ungrateful for stealing equipment. Feeling betrayed, Kim Chul comes screaming at them for becoming the reason his team was wiped out. He can't fathom how they managed to get all of this equipment. It's hard to explain, but Kim Chul is seriously annoyed and wants to hear it from the perpetrator who planned all of this. He wants to know who kept all the equipment and left his team to die. The man assumes the countdown of 3, and if they don't talk, he's going to start fighting them. At this moment, Kim Chul sets his sights on the B-ranker who betrayed him at the last second. He suspects that she probably wanted to preserve food for herself and ended up pursuing the other team. Kim Chul finishes his countdown when Jin-Woo casually comes up from behind and slaps his dumbass head into the ground.
We will finish this chapter here. Next chapter will be out soon, so stay tuned.